What is up, you guys? Diggerdan here, coming at you with another video. Today, I'm doing a book tag. I got tagged. I'm it. So today is my New York book tag video. So without further ado, let's dig into it. So for those of you who don't know what a book tag video is, basically it is a video that surrounds a certain topic. In this case, it's New York City, hence New York book tag. And then there's a set of questions that loosely revolve around books in this case. I think there's only 3 or 4 questions that revolve around books, so I added a couple of my own. And then, so a booktuber does it, and then they tag somebody at the end, or a couple of people, to potentially pick it up and share their thoughts on the topic. So first of all, shout out to Ed from Dutch Graybeard. Go check him out. He's a good friend of the channel. We basically play comment tag on each other's videos, and it's fun. And he's a Dutchman, hence Dutch Graybeard. And he's a writer of his own. So it's interesting to see his perspective. And he's read his entire life, but he's recently come in the love of fantasy that a lot of us here on BookTube have about a year ago. So yeah, just seeing his journey is so cool. So shout out to you, Ed. All right, so digging into the first question, it is your favorite book set in or around New York City. So I actually sort of have 2 for this one. I'm cheating a little bit. My first is Relic by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. This is actually the first in a series, which I didn't realize when I picked it up. But it's like this first book is basically the brainchild of the movie Night at the Museum and Jurassic Park, and it's really cool. It's definitely horror. Like light horror, I would say. And I didn't realize that until I was already like halfway through the book. I'm like, oh, this is kind of scary a little bit. So yeah, but this one's really good, and it's fun because this was written in the early 90s. So the setting is in the early 90s. So it's really before cell phones are popularized or even available. And it's kind of like the infancy of the internet too. So internet is used a little bit because it's also kind of like a not crime, but like a mystery novel. Yeah, so it's just good stuff. And like I said, it's the first of a series. I think it's like Agent Pendergast, I think is the character it follows, that loosely follows between the series. So anyway, this one. But like I said, I cheated and I have 2. And the other one from growing up, I loved Rick however you say his name, Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And this is the last in that series, and this one is, I would say, probably the one that is heavily most in or around New York, from what I remember. So, yeah, I cheated and I have 2. So, question 2 is, New York is famous for its skyscrapers. What is the tallest building you have been to? So, yeah, not book-related, but I haven't really explored the world much, or traveled much. So I would say the tallest building I've been to, honestly, sad to say, is a hotel. I remember I was in college. I was dating my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time went on a trip during summer with her family down, I believe it was Lido Beach in Florida, and we were on around 20th floor or something like that. I think it's sad to say, I think that's the highest building I've been in. But if you want to tie it with books, I would say in a book, the highest I've read is honestly probably, I've had to think about this one a little bit. For a building itself, I would say Babel from R.F. Kuang. There is a couple scenes where they're at the top of the Babel Tower in Oxford, and I don't know exactly how tall it is because some magic stuff kind of makes space a little wonky. But yeah, I would say in books, I would say Babel's probably the highest. Question 3 is New York, New York. So good, they named it twice. What is the last book you reread? So I don't really reread too many things, mostly because there's most of everything you see here, plus things you don't, I haven't read yet. So I'm playing a lot of catch up. So it's very rare that I reread something unless I really enjoy it. So kind of pulling back. Actually, The Last Olympian, I remember when I was kind of falling in love with reading, or getting back into reading as an adult, this is one of the first series I reread. It was like this one, and then, if I can point the right way, the Aragon series up here, because you can see Murtagh, you can see so the Inheritance Cycle, which is 4 books, or 4.5, 4.5 if you count Murtagh as the Inheritance Cycle. that came out last year. But those two, and those were both from childhood. Yeah, that's it. I'll probably reread Wheel of Time again soon at some point, just because I love that so much. But yeah, I don't really reread too much. So, all right, question number 4. American Psycho was a disturbing novel set in New York. What is the most disturbing book you have read? Again, I'm not really a horror guy, so I kind of already spoiled it with the first answer. But honestly, Relic. It was very kind of thought-provoking, but it was kind of disturbing a little bit, because it goes into DNA and mutations and what is the monster really, or who's the real monster, things like that. So, yeah, again, Relic, I definitely recommend it. All right, question number 5. Where were you when 9/11 happened? I honestly don't know, because I was 4 years old at the time. I maybe wasn't even that old. I think I was 3.5, which definitely ages me. Yeah, so I have no idea. Question number 6 is favorite movie set in New York. I'm going to cheat again, and I have kind of two. One is John Wick, the first one. You can tell me, no, that's not really New York. But when he visits the Continental Hotel, that is New York. So you can't argue with me on that one. And those are some of the best scenes in my opinion. And the second one is the first Avengers movie. I remember sitting in theaters when I was like 10 or 12 at the time, and it just kind of blew my mind. And that one is an alien invasion attacking New York City. So doesn't get more direct setting than that. Question 7. Have I been to New York? I have not, and I have no plan on visiting New York. Big cities kind of just make me anxious. And like, yeah, I'm sure there's some cool things, like speaking of Night at Museum, like the Museum of Natural History. That would maybe be like the one thing I'd want to visit. I guess, sure, Times Square, but it's like, I don't know. I watch the ball drop almost every year, and so I feel like I visit it at least once a year just through the television screen. So yeah, long story short, no, I haven't visited New York, and I don't plan to. Question number 8. Favorite painter from New York? That's very specific. I don't really follow art all that much, if I'm being honest. Specifically painters either, and then specifically painters from New York. Like, that's very specific. So I'm just going to cheat. Again, I've been doing that the entire time. And say either Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo. Now, yes, I know neither of those are even American. But yeah, those two, like, they're just such iconic. You got the Mona Lisa, you got The Last Supper, you got, I think one of them did The Last Supper. You have basically Michelangelo doing the entire Sistine Chapel, and like, that is just so gorgeous. Yeah, so I'll just say one of them. Probably Michelangelo, but Leonardo is so iconic. Favorite song about New York? That is question number 9. Of course, just like Ed said in his video that tagged me, the Frank Sinatra song, New York, New York. It's iconic. Or maybe Alicia Keys' song that she just is saying New York over and over again. That's kind of catchy. But again, I don't really listen to much modern music, so I don't even know. So again, I'm going to cheat and give you multiple answers, and say some music I do listen to that I recommend is Sabaton. That they're a rock metal band from Sweden, and most of the stuff they do is in English, so you can't understand it. Some of their stuff is in Swedish as well, but they still rock hard, and it's awesome. And some of their my favorite album from them is probably Last Stand, and a lot of their songs or albums are about like historic events. Like, so in The Last Stand, a lot of the songs, like one's about Sparta and Leonidas and the like his 300 fighting off the Persians. There's another one. There's another album called Great War where it basically is all about World War One, which is crazy. So if you're a history buff and a fan of rock or metal, I definitely recommend Sabaton. And another band that I've recently found on YouTube that I've just been loving is called Alien Weaponry. They're actually from New Zealand, so a lot of their stuff is in the Maui language, I think is what the language is. So a lot of it's not English. Some of their songs are in English, so you can't understand them. But my favorite song of theirs is, I don't even know how to say it, Kai Tangata. I don't know. There's there will be a thumbnail here of the video that I always love watching of theirs. So yeah, just more cheating for these answers. All right, so now these last 2 questions are ones I just kind of threw in here to just make it a little more interesting, and one just this next one to make it a little more book related. So New York is seen as the publishing capital of the world. What is your favorite publishing house in New York? So I would say Tor, because they're big in fantasy and sci-fi. I feel like if it's from a big publisher, most of the books I have are from Tor, I feel. Probably at least half. Or if you don't see that, you could say Macmillan, because they own Tor. So one of those, I would say. Final one, just because I want to talk about this specific musical. Broadway, obviously, is big in New York. So favorite Broadway show or musical. And I just love the Sweeney Todd movie with Johnny Depp in it. I think Tim Burton directed that. I'm not certain. But my older brother Andrew showed me that movie, and it's probably my favorite musical. And I don't even like musicals, but I really enjoy that one. So yeah, so those are my 11 questions, or the 11 questions. And now it's time for me to tag people. So I'm going to tag my friend Benjamin from Benjamin's Book Club. He's a good friend of the channel and also Aussie. And then the other one is going to be Cliff from Cliff's Dark Gems. Sorry guys, you don't have to you don't have to do this video if you don't want to. I just think it would be really interesting to hear some of your guys' perspectives, since you guys are from down under and basically as far away from New York City as you can be. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like down below. If you want to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button as well as that bell notification icon so you guys know when I upload each and every single time. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.